Greetings and blessings. Pain is a gift. This is the lesson I learned this week. So, I want to share with you what happened with me this week and how amazing, inspiring, and blessed week I had. So, this week was an exceptionally great opportunity for me. As this Sunday, I got an opportunity to preach. So, my first ever sermon. I mean, I've given many sermons before, but that was during the COVID time. And then I gave sermons in a small sitting with friends gathered around or on Zoom, but never really in a church. So this is my first opportunity to preach. And I went into the countryside, a small village called Tata, very beautiful place. And I'm in that church, and God is speaking to me. I've never experienced that God gave me a message to give to that congregation directly, and I gave that message, and they received, and it was a blessing to them. But I was talking in the sermon. In the end of the sermon, I ended the sermon with the story of my son who passed away, who only got to live for 9 months, that too most of the time in the hospital. And we had a great struggle with him. We went through a lot of pain through those times, and we still carry the pain of missing our son. And one thing we did not do, we did not complain, although there was questions that we asked God, but we did not complain. Why, God? And we knew that there is a reason, a purpose, a higher purpose, that God gave him into our lives and took him away so soon. And as you go along in life, you understand the purposes of God even deeper, and we do understand to some level the purposes of God. But as we continue our life in faith, we keep understanding, our understandings gets broadened more and more. And that same very day, when I went to preach in the afternoon, we went to our church here in Budapest, and we had a visiting pastor coming from Germany. His name is Simon Paul. And as he was preaching about hope, and he gave an example about Absalom. And when he died, his father David, King David, was grieving and crying. And as soon as he read that scripture, I knew that David had a heart of God. Now, as he was telling that story, he said, I'm going to share with you something personal, and I don't know why I'm sharing this. It's not in my notes, and he told us this as well, that it's not in his notes. And he shared about how his son was never born. And he feels that separation, he feels that pain, he feels that he has three daughters, but he feels that there is something missing from his family. And we feel the exact very same thing. Life without our son, we no matter how happy we look from outside, and no matter how fulfilled we are, or whatever we are doing, there is some sort of a lingering that we are missing our son. And as a father who's lost his son, I could really really sympathize with him. And then we got to talk to him afterwards, and he told me something that really touched my heart. And that day, I came to know one thing about God. Although we are going through our pains, God is not far from us. In our conversation, he asked us, "What is your son's name?" And we said, "Our son's name is Jacob." And tears started to come into his eyes, because he said that they wanted to name their son Jacob. Can you imagine? This is, brothers and sisters, this is not a coincidence. Can you imagine that God planned all this, that a pastor in Germany is going to lose his son, but and he's going to go through some pain, and through I'm going to use that pain so that this spiritual person can experience that pain and can learn something about God, and then can enlighten and encourage other people. And over here, another family is going through pain, and they are also going to lose their son. And God put in my heart to call my son Jacob, and God put in his heart to call him Jacob. And then God said, I'm going to time it. I'm going to time it that these two people, these two fathers, me and my wife, we met him. These two parents are going to meet each other one day. It is going to be the same very day that this father is going to realize and recognize his calling. He's going to get an opportunity, his first ever opportunity to speak. And I'm going to give him a sign that I am with you. Today, your journey has started. I'm going to give him a sign. And the same very day, this other pastor is going to come to Budapest, whom I have never ever met in my life before. And I ended my sermon by talking about my son, and he ended his sermon by talking about his son. And he says, I don't know why I'm doing this. It's not in my notes. I have not talked about my son for years, but God has put in my heart to talk about my and I at that moment, sitting there, me and my wife, we realized, some people did not understand. Some even told us afterwards, we didn't understand why he's telling us about his son, but we knew that God had sent him so that we could relate to him, and God could give us a message that I see your pain and I am with you. Brothers and sisters, today I just want to encourage you that if you are going through pain, God sees your pain and he is with you. God bless you, and I will see you